Hey y'all, welcome to Nashville Typewriter. I've been asked to give a presentation on some basic repair and things that you will run into when you're buying a new typewriter for virtual Hermans. So step inside and I'll show you where the magic happens. So this is my shop. It's messy, it's cluttered. I've got weird stuff hanging up, but it's mine, and I love it. So here's a lot of the machines that I have that are in various stages of repair. You can see they kind of take over, but you know, it's just the nature of the business. Over here is my workbench where I spend most of my time doing repair. You know, I typically have a stool in here that I sit on, but obviously for today we don't need that. So I got started in this basically after finding my first typewriter about 5 years ago in a secondhand store. And after I got it home and messed with it and kind of got it functional to a degree, I just realized that there was something about these things that I loved. So one became 3, and then 10 and 20. So many of us know exactly how that you know, rabbit hole goes. But around that time I realized that, you know, a lot of the machines that you see for sale, you know, they will say, you know, works fine, you know, fully functional, might need a new ribbon. You know, it's become kind of almost a meme or a joke within the community. And then you get the thing and there's something wrong with it. So I realized that if I was going to continue to collect and have these machines to be able to write on and enjoy, that I was either going to have to find somebody that could repair them or learn to repair them myself. So looking at the people that still repair typewriters in the United States alone it's very underwhelming. There's not a whole lot of us out there. So that led to me learning repair, and I've been a handyman and a painter for years and years and years, so I do have some basic like hand tool skills, and that's helped me quite a bit. And there are very specific tools for fixing typewriters, but they're cost prohibitive for a lot of people. They seem to be even rarer in some cases than the actual machines, and when they do pop up, sometimes they're just really, really overpriced. So I got started doing this using basic hand tools, and really you can get away with just about any type of repair using tools that you could buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, any hardware store. So I'll show you the tools that I use and that you'll be seeing used in this video. So come check it out. So this on this wooden board here is kind of like your basic toolkit. You can get away with a lot of repairs just with what's on here. So probably the most important is going to be your flathead screwdrivers or slotted screwdrivers. I like this one a lot. It is a ratcheting screwdriver, so it kind of can save a little bit on your wrists. It's got a magnet tip. You know, you can change the bits out. It holds a couple of extras in here. Really good one. It's also important, sometimes the magnetized tip can be a pain when you're trying to get screws back in at a tight spot. It will want to like attach to the machine, so it's good to have just a regular flathead that's smaller to be able to get in there. This is also a really cool one. This is a screw holding screwdriver. So what you do is you would put the screw on there and then you push that forward just a little bit and it puts tension on there. So it allows you to hold a screw without magnetizing it. So pretty cool. A set of small pliers. Sometimes these are marketed as jewelry pliers. These curved ones are extremely handy for getting into tight spots, some minor forming stuff, even just holding something as you're trying to reconnect it. These long nose, needle nose are also very, very handy. Not real expensive. You can get a decent set for around 15 bucks. Probably the most useful tool in my arsenal is going to be an air compressor with a blowout attachment. So this is an old vintage one. I just like it because it works well, and I'm obviously into vintage stuff. So the game changer for me was putting this length of rubber hose on there. that allows you to kind of get inside the machine into spots that you wouldn't be able to with just like a flat, you know, metal straw or whatever. So a good headlamp, that goes a long way. You know, you're looking inside these machines trying to figure out what's going on. This one's a pretty powerful one. I got it at Lowe's, I think, and it works really, really well. Obviously, you're working with chemicals. I like a spray bottle that I put some mineral spirits in with a couple of drops of light oil just to kind of keep everything moving. Cheap electric toothbrush works really well in conjunction with this. Get it in there when you're cleaning these things out. The segments tend to get really sticky. They can cause some issues. This, and just repeating, you'd be amazed how many typewriters I fix that way. I'd say at least 90% of the typewriters that clients bring me that are having some issues, that's the fix. It's just really in-depth cleaning. Other type of toothbrushes are helpful as well, just a regular one. This is a denture toothbrush, and it works great for being able to kind of get in there and really scrub. A steel brush, this is just a steel bristled like brush that typically used for welding and stuff for cleaning up joints. I find it works well for cleaning type slugs. Also, dental pick kit off Amazon, pretty cheap. Also very, very helpful for cleaning out type slugs. You want to be really careful. Type slugs are made to be hard. They're hard to scratch or to crimp or whatever, but you still want to kind of watch it, you know, when you're getting in there. And I usually just pick it out, wipe it on a paper towel, then come back and spray it and, you know, get it going. Working with all this stuff, you know, you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself. So a good pair of safety glasses is definitely a purchase you want to make. Getting this stuff in your eyes can be a very bad scene. And one other thing that I found is really helpful is to have some sort of a magnet or something to be able to store your screws as you're taking them apart. You know, as I started, when I'd pull the screws out, like taking the shells off and that sort of thing, I would actually go back and put those screws back into the frame of the machine so I knew where they were located, you know, when I go to put it back together. I've since gotten pretty comfortable with knowing where those screws need to go, so I just use a magnet. One really good magnet is a rare earth magnet, and if you have an old laptop or an old desktop computer that has a hard drive in it that's not being used or is broken, this is a magnet that's out of a hard drive, and it's cool. It's really, really powerful. I mean, you can see it's not going anywhere. The thing I like about it is it has these holes here, so you can actually mount that to your bench. Typically that's where that sits, and I usually will zip a screw in there, and that way it doesn't fall off or anything. So here's your basic tools, and you can repair a lot of typewriters with just these. So I'm going to show you now a couple of the things that you're going to run into when you're buying new typewriters, and how to fix them with these tools. So I'm going to move these just over here for a second. My horribly cluttered coffee table. So the first thing that I will show you is how to reattach a drawband, and we're going to do that on an Olivetti Lettera 32. I'll step over here and grab it. Got 3 typewriters here on the bench, and this is our client. So drawbands, that's what keeps the machine moving. Now, if the drawband's not attached, you got nothing. You got no key movement. You know, you're pretty much dead in the water. This is one of the things that is the most common repair issue that you're going to run into. And there's different ways to do this. If you actually have the drawband, there's a bunch of different types of drawbands that are used for different machines. There's drawbands, there's drawstrings, and they're basically made to go inside this little mainspring right here, and that's what keeps tension on the carriage. And then it runs the string up and attaches to this point right here. So if you don't have the drawband, one option is to use some of this stuff. The braided fishing line. I like spider wire. you can get higher tension. 30 pound is plenty, but I like to take it and actually braid it and make my own drawbands in some cases. For this instance, we actually have the drawband that goes on this machine. So what you want to do is one of the tools that I meant to show you that got left out. Let me grab. This is also a very handy tool to have. This is a spring hook, and you can buy a bunch of different types of ones. I've been fortunate to find ones for typewriters, but you can buy these online in varying lengths and size springs, or size hooks for the springs and stuff. This one was actually made out of just a piece of like solid steel that I ground down the end and then just curved around, and it works just fine. So what you want to do is you're looking for a clear path underneath the carriage from the point where it connects here to the mainspring. So what you want is that you want to take your spring hook. It's kind of hard to see here, but you want to feed it through underneath the carriage. I'm going to come here, and you can see where it pops out right there. All right. So at that point, you would take your drawband. We've already got a loop tied in this one. It's getting tangled up in the machine here, which happens. You want to just attach that dude right there. All right. You want to keep a little bit of tension on it, and then just slowly pull it back through. Now, if you get hung up on something inside the carriage, it's okay. Just maybe twist the hook a little bit. But what you're going to see is that here on this other side, we're all the way out. All right. So we can go ahead and we can disconnect our spring hook at that point. So we've got our drawstring all the way through the carriage. Now there's different ways to do this. What you need to do is you need to put tension back on this mainspring so it's going to reattach. So what you do is you just turn it this direction. And what you're looking for, let's see, I usually go about 4 turns. You don't want to overdo it because you can snap that spring. Let's see. All right, so what you're looking for is that little slot right there. Can you see that? Right in there. That's where this knot fits into. So we're going to go one more just to give it what it needs. All right. So then you're going to take your knot, making sure you're holding tension on that spring. This is a trial and error thing. You will lose contact with it at some point, and you'll have to respring it. But now, this is kind of one of those things where you just kind of have to find what works for you. I find a little flathead screwdriver tends to work pretty well for just getting that pushed in there. And sometimes with these repairs, you need 4 sets of hands. So we're just going to get that, push it in there. All right. So it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it is also not the hardest. So what you want is you want it to where that knot is underneath that little slot. All right. So now we've got tension on our mainspring. We've got our drawband over here. So we're going to take this and just set it up here so you can see. Right there is the attachment point. So you just take that loop and put it right over there and then let it go. Okay, so we have a reattached drawband. This dude, it's ready to type. So cool. That's the first one. And you know, it's one of those things you're going to run into. Like it can be really frustrating. Sometimes these things seem like they don't want to work again. But just stay at it, be patient, you know, and just allow yourself time to learn. Okay, so our Lettera 32 is now functional. We're going to move to the next thing. Okay, so this is our next client. This is a Olympia SM4, and a lot of you will notice that it is a special SM4. It is the gold-plated one. It's one that I've been after for quite a while, and I was finally able to acquire one, so yay. One of the things that you run into with these Olympias is you will get one and it works good. These things are very snappy machines, but occasionally over the years you'll get one and the carriage will drag. It'll drag here on this point right here and this point right here. Sometimes it's worse than others. It'll scratch the paint, and it affects like the way that the typewriter is able to type out. You know, letters will pile together and stuff. So the biggest fix for that is a really easy one, and I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So one of the things that I like is I've got a little outdoor pillow that I use for this. You want to be really careful when you flip these upside down. You definitely want to watch this. You don't want that to get bent or anything. But I've found that this actually works pretty well in this case. You can also do this with it sitting in your lap. Sometimes that's easier for some people. So what we're going to be fixing is this right here. These bushings that are in between the frame and the shell of the typewriter, they're rubber. So over the years they compress and they start having issues. And that's what's causing those carriage to drag. So really easy fix. I like to use, I get these little multi-packs, and it's just assorted flat washers because there's other machines that utilize these. The size of the washer is not hugely important. I personally like to use the 1/4 size for the bottom, and then the 00 size for the washer underneath it. So we're going to set those right there, just so you can see. Those are some of what they look like when they come out. That's the bottom washer. You can see it's just compressed and it's not really doing its job anymore. So, okay, let me grab my screwdriver here. So I recommend doing these one at a time. You can absolutely do all four, but it's a little bit hard to get them lined up. So what you're going to do is you're just going to come in. Now that unscrews really easily. It's already been unscrewed a little bit. But a lot of times they can be kind of hard to get to. All right, so we're just going to unscrew that, and that just comes right out. All right, so you've got a flat washer there, your screw. At that point, I will usually go ahead and take the smaller, put that on. We'll set that there. And then, where's our little screwdriver again? Well, it's okay. I can use a spring. So at that point, you want to take and kind of get that one pushed out. And there it is. Oy. All right, so we're out. You can see that one's really mashed. It's causing some problems. So you want to take your 1/4 inch and the same thing, just kind of sit it right in there and try to line it up with the screw hole. And can you see? Yeah. All right. So you just take your other screw with your new washer, line it up. And then just kind of screw it in there. Sometimes those can get a little cross-threaded, so you might just need to back it up a little bit. But those screws have a stop on them that will actually stop when it gets tight. Right there it is. And so you just repeat that on all 4 corners. And 9 times out of 10, if these things are having some carriage issues or you're getting some weird grinding noises, that's what's going to fix it. So, beautiful sound. All right, so that is the Olympia SM4 fix, the carriage fix. So, another really popular machine that we run into are a Smith Corona 5 series. This one's one of the really pretty Alpine Blue Silent Supers. Move our pillow here. So these are great machines. Smith Corona really had things figured out by this point. But for some reason, something that you run into a lot with these is the segments just being really, really stiff. You know, people would hang over these and smoke cigarettes and all kinds of stuff. Over the years, sometimes people would spray oil in there and it gums up and it makes it to where, you know, you're not getting key striking. You know, you go to hit a key and wouldn't go. So cool thing and frustrating thing about this is that Smith Corona had a design for their linkages that attach to these that is made to basically break away. So when you've got something that's really gummed up, somebody pushes a key too hard, well, it pops one of those linkages loose. So you run into one of these machines and all the keys work, and then you've got that. That is the plus and the equals key, and it is disconnected. Cool thing is that given their design, these are actually pretty easy to fix. So what you're going to do is, I like to use my little flat screwdriver, but sometimes like some bigger spring hooks can help. Grab another one. There we go. Here's another spring hook. So what you're going to do is we're going to take the type bar, and we're just going to kind of lean it up here. What you're looking for is this guy right here. And so it's kind of gotten underneath there a little bit. Actually, we need to move the light a little bit. Okay. So this guy has gotten where it's down in there. So we're just gonna, and sometimes you've got to find the right angle to get a hold of it, but there we go. And there it is. All right. All right. So that's it right there. All right. And so you can see this is basically like a little split piece of metal, and it's got like a little rivet or some, little metal peg that fits in this other side of this. So if you take the screwdriver and you gently spread it apart, you can see it kind of comes apart, snaps back in. So what you're wanting to do is this little hole right here on the type bar, that needs to go there. And it's not terribly difficult, but it's one of those things that can just be, get a hold of it and try. So we're going to take this back, and I'm just using the tension of the the screwdriver. It's slightly twisted, keeping that open. So we're going to come back here. This. Oh, about to lose our lid. A lot of times I will already have the lid off of these when I'm attempting this repair. But all right, so we've got it basically on there. So there we go. That's the most satisfying click in the world. So now what you've got is you've got plus and an equals key again. So how are we doing on time?
We're right at 20.
Okay. All right. Well, those are some of the most common things that you run into and how to fix them. And hopefully this is helpful. And I'm always available. If you'd like, you guys can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram under Nashville Typewriter. I have a typewriter page. I'm a member of the collectors group, the maintenance group, and I'm always happy to talk typewriters or try to help out in any way I can. So thanks for watching this video, and hopefully it was helpful. And hopefully I get to see all of you fine people next year at the Real Hermans. So thanks a lot, and see you later from Nashville.